What up? It's Jimmy from odds.com. This is a clip from our big NCAA basketball show. Check out the entire show. Hit the link at the bottom of the screen. It's available exclusively on odds.com. Let's keep it rolling. Max has picked out 8 games he's attacking on this Tuesday, February 23rd card. We start at 3 p.m. Eastern, little afternoon action, and we close up shop at 9 p.m. Eastern with your beloved UConn Huskies. Max, are you ready to get to work?
Of course I am. Let's do it.
Let's go. I've missed you. Let's fire away. We start at 3 p.m. Eastern. Pacific Tigers, 7-7 on the year, 4-6 in conference at San Diego Toreros, 3-8, 2-5 in conference. And we go to the Jenny Craig Pavilion, fat shaming in San Diego, California. Let's see what the market is offering us here for this 3 p.m. matchup. Pacific opening up as 3.5-point favorites. They're 3.5 basically across the board, but the leading indicator books have moved it to 4. Then we have a total opening up at 134.5. That's moved up a point to 135.5. Max, let's get to work. We'll start with Pacific. After getting blown out 80-52 on Thursday at home to BYU, Pacific came back with an easy 80-58 win at lowly Portland on Saturday night. They're led in scoring by sophomore guard Dennis Jenkins, who averages 12.4 points per game, but struggles badly from the perimeter. As a team, they don't shoot the ball well. They hit just 30.4% from 3, with only guard Jaylen Brown hitting over 40% from the perimeter, and he averages just 5.7 points per game, so he's not hurling a lot of those threes. They hit 43.3% from the field, 66.3% from the stripe. Now, let's talk about San Diego. After a 3-week pause due to COVID, the Toreros came back with a surprise 71-60 win at Santa Clara as 6.5-point underdogs on Thursday night. Joey Calcaterra went for a career-high 23, and they turned the ball over just 11 times. I wish that was the end of the breakdown, but sadly, 2 nights later, they had to head to Spokane to face number 1 Gonzaga. They were down 51-22 at the break. Max had Gonzaga first half minus 10.5 on the show. That was a casher. And they lost 106-69. Max, you also had the full game over, I believe. So you cashed on that as well. Nobody scored more than Josh Parrish's 13. Only Calcaterra and Parrish averaged double digits. As a team, they shoot 41.2% from the field, 32.2% from 3, and just 65% from the foul line. Max, very interesting 3 p.m. Eastern spot for you. Pacific, San Diego, take it away.
Yeah, Jim, with San Diego coming off that type of loss and that type of performance, you do expect them to be able to be more capable and competent going up against a quality of opponent that is definitely a couple levels below. I think that with Pacific and San Diego, they do have the commonality of beating some of the same opponents, beating Portland, beating Santa Clara. So we have seen these teams struggle with the upper tier teams in the conference, and they have been getting smoked. But when it comes to an overall roster versus roster advantage or disadvantage, I do think that Pacific has more check marks in their column than San Diego. I will point out that with San Diego, you are going to be questioning what kind of production, what kind of minutes you get out of Yehoon Masalki. The 6'10" forward is definitely a guy that is going to be needed in this game to go along with Vladimir Pinchik, who, let's be frank, is a very bad free throw shooter. So if you need to hack a big man late to put San Diego on the line and then be able to get that extra possession, if you're Pacific, that's definitely a strategy that would work with this roster. I think that with Pacific in wins, it's very clear. They get off to fast starts. They have a very high 2-point percentage from the field, and they're hitting 40% from the 3-point line and hitting 8 or more of them. This is a team that is at their best when they have crisp ball movement and they're owning the glass on the offensive and defensive side. I think that when you look at Pacific in their wins, they always have an outlier performance, whether that be from Jabril Price-Noel, our fellow Canadian, Justin Moore, who just came off the bench with 4 3-point makes last time out, or even Gervais Green, who everybody, including me, expected a lot more of and just haven't gotten. from an overall talent perspective, I think that Pacific has and checks those boxes, like I said. In losses, though, we have seen a pattern form with Pacific. Pacific, when they're playing from behind, they have a slow start. There's 20 plus fouls in the game. They're getting killed on the offensive glass. They're not getting those 10 offensive rebounds that they need. And they only have one hot scorer, and that usually is Jeremiah Bailey. So balanced scoring is going to have to be. And with Pacific, listen, when they get into the high 70s and their opponent gets into the high 70s, like they did against Loyola Marymount, that's a loss. So I think that with Pacific in this matchup, they have a first half advantage of around 4 points. They have to stay stout for 40 minutes. And listen, that perimeter defense inside the arc is going to be key. You want to push San Diego out to the line unless you're going to a foul and try and extend the game like that. I think that putting them at the line, they're 65%, and they have multiple guys that shoot under 70%. Joey Calcaterra is the only guy that you really have to fear putting on the free throw line. And I just think that when you look at this group, Pacific's going to be able to crush them on the offensive glass. I think that Jordan Bell and Brock Finstuen are going to play big roles. And even though you're not getting the quality point guard play that ordinarily I like to get behind, I think that with my number, with what I watch in Pacific, how these two teams match up against each other, Pacific forces turnovers and they take care of the ball, they win this game. They're better in the day. They're both quality for your bankroll and conference, so you really are split there. And listen, with Pacific games, a lot of these games daytime have gone over, so I can understand where the line is going, but I'll say this, Jim. When it comes to the total, I actually be looking towards the under, because if it's going to be a Pacific win and cover, which is what I would like to make as my official show pick, then I don't see this game getting into the high 60s.
Interesting breakdown. So are we focusing on Pacific full game?
Yeah, Pacific full game minus 3.5 or better, please.
That's the best I can get you. Minus 3.5 at minus 110. Pacific minus 3.5, minus 110. That's available really across all of the licensed books right now. The Toros 3.5 minus 110 for max to start your card, and not moving on the total.
No, I'm not going to. I'll be betting it personally, but for the show, I'm just going to stick with the side.